Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Olena Berezovska, and I'm welcoming you on my YouTube channel. And we have a new podcast with a wonderful woman, actually my neighbor from Buffalo area, United States. It's probably 100 miles away. And a special woman because we're going to talk today about happiness and gratitude, the very popular subject. At the same time, people have so self definition of gratitude and happiness, and there's a lot of gossip, a lot of discussion, wrong discussion. So we're gonna have our podcast with an expert in happiness and gratitude. Welcome, Natalie. Hello.
Oh, hello, Olena. I'm so glad to finally get to talk to you. Thank you for all of your work and all the beautiful things and having me today. I'm really excited.
Me too, and I'm happy to see you, Natalie, because we were corresponding for more than 1 month, and I know how busy you are and how busy I am. So, and finally we found a time to speak, and I'm going to introduce Natalie because, as I said, she's special. Like every guest, my guest is special, but Natalie, Natalie Hoerner is a positive psychologist and co-founder, happiness coach and founder of Gifts of Gratitude. And I will provide information to her web page in information about this video. So you just need to scroll down and you'll see a web page. So Natalie is certified in positive psychology and positive psychology coaching by Wholebeing Institute, where she studied with noted professor told Ben Shar, and I know him by lectures. Like he's an expert in happiness, and he actually participated in creating the positive psychology course for Ukraine, a free course for all Ukrainian people. And I was listening to his interview and lectures on that course as well. And oh my God, he's is really expert. So Natalie got education from his program and became licensed in facilitating the Inspire Your Idea workshop. Also, she received training at the Sedona Women's Institute to improve her workshops and retreat for women, which sounds very, very interesting. I would like to come to this retreat. I like retreats for women. So she's founder of Gifts of Gratitude, and today we're gonna talk about gratitude and happiness. So welcome, Natalie, one more time.
Thank you.
Yeah, and let's start probably because we decided to talk about more about gratitude. In my opinion, that as I watch people and talk to people, the gratitude for many of them is something like a high level, more than love. When we talk about the scale of feelings and emotions, and I would say it's a complex, not just like feelings, not just emotion. It's something like special. And some people I had, they say, oh, it's not for me. I mean, it's very difficult to get to gratitude condition, but you have experience and knowledge in this. So I would like you to tell more about this concept of gratitude, what gratitude is actually.
Well, I want to start by saying a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and I believe that's Lao Tzu. And I think that's kind of been one of my mottos about this. And I think when I teach or I present, the big thing for me is that we start very, very small. I think that so many people try to change their lives, and this is, starting a gratitude practice is starting a new habit. It's starting to change your life, and it changes your life in so many ways. This simple practice is so profound, and it creates miracles in your life, and that's how I feel about it. That we start small. We start to notice the good in our lives. We set that intention, we get out, whether we're in nature or, just even in our homes or even in our lives, just noticing the simple things. Like, before I even get out of bed, I start by saying, oh, thank you. I had a good night's rest. I'm grateful that, I'm healthy and I'm strong and I'm sleeping in a warm bed and, I have water to drink, clean water. I mean, some of the things I think we take for granted that we have that a lot of people don't have. And we need to appreciate those things and to really see those things. And I think we get so caught up in the busyness of our lives and all the materialistic things that we forget about the things that just happen in our lives and we don't even notice. Like our heart beats, I think, 100,000 times a day. And we don't even realize it. I mean, these miraculous things that are happening that we don't pay attention to. So I think the big thing about gratitude is to really start small. I know that, the concept sometimes for people is tough, but I think change is tough for people. I think we try to do too much too fast. We need to break it down into, I don't know if you're familiar with the word Kaizen changes. I love that word. It's a Japanese word and it means, tiny incremental changes. And that's how change occurs. So by starting with the practice of let's find one thing to be grateful for today, by setting that intention and going about your day and looking for something to be grateful for. And what we appreciate appreciates. So the more good we look for, the more we're going to find because our brains are wired to look for the negative. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, the way it is. We've been, from so long ago, we've been learned to run away from the saber-toothed tiger. And so we're constantly, looking on high alert. But if we get present to the moment that we're in right now, we're okay. Everything is good. What do I see? What do I hear? When you taste something, what does it taste like? What does, the clothing on your skin feel like? Really being present. And that's one of the things that, if people have a hard time of getting present in their life, grounding into our senses really brings us into the present moment. And so I really believe in this work and I believe that it can change people's lives for the better. And it's so simple that you can't even believe by just looking and seeing and just noticing. Like we walk by something, how many times even in our lives we walk by, we don't notice it. We're driving, we don't even know how we got there. We could be so lost in thought that we don't even hear birds singing or anything going on in life. So to really become present in our lives, this is what life is about. This is what we're missing out on life, of really being present for our loved ones, for everything. And so we really need to focus on that. And I think to be in the present moment is a miracle.
Yeah.
And so, we really, that's the real gift of gratitude.
When I was happy and successful, I remember this time when every morning I started with thank you, just like thank you. I wanted to say thank you to the world, to the morning, to birds, to everyone. And if I walk the dog, I met people and they said, say like, hi, how are you? You feel wonderful. But then when the COVID happened, I went suddenly through very serious drama in my life. It's not because it's not related to COVID, but it happened that I lost a couple people that I call friends, and I found very unpleasant things that was behind my back. So it was a personal drama when I was like really stressed, plus COVID situation, right? And then there was a moment when I was talking with my other friend. He's a doctor from India and he's a Reiki coach. And then I said, how can I get rid of this negative emotions, negative like feelings? I feel like I'm down. I'm not like I was before. And I remember I was happy when I was saying thank you, but right now I cannot say thank you. I cannot say thank you to those people who offended me or like just don't feel. And he said to me, like it's like you just say thank you to anything you like, not necessarily you don't like. You don't need to show a positive attitude to people you don't like at the moment. But from little things, and I was saying, what little things? I'm so stressed. I'm so upset. I'm so unhappy. What little things, And then one morning, driving to the Portuguese cafe and bakery where we usually buy breakfast every Saturday for us and our dog. It's a tradition, you know. And I was driving on this almost empty road. It was like 6:30 in the morning, right? And very close to my house. And then I realized that I have a fresh coffee, the smell of fresh coffee, a fresh bakery. And here we're gonna have a beautiful breakfast, like two of us and our dog, because our children are adults, they live separately. And I start crying, saying, thank you for this morning. Thank you for this coffee. Thank you for this road, like, and driving. Thank you for the clouds and sun. Like, I start crying. And I realized that I'm back to this thank you condition when it was sincere. And then I start recovering. But like you say, we have to pay attention on the present moments, whatever we have, whatever brings us happiness, whatever gives us some pleasure of life, and then we can expand more, like healing, so the process of healing, and come into the condition of gratitude when you even look differently on your enemies or on people who offended you, and you stop caring about them in a way that you hate them or you kind of like really angry at them. So you're right, like we have to look to very like for small things in our life that brings this pleasure, and then we start saying thank you. And I have a question. If this normal, let's say, from your point of view, because you have a huge experience and of course knowledge, is it normal to say I'm happy or even to say thank you when you are not in the condition when you really do this sincerely? Do we need to be very sincere, or it's kind of like adjusting ourselves to like like to coming back to the normal condition, but sometimes you need just to say without any emotion, like I'm happy, or I'm gonna be happy. So how can we come from the point of unhappiness to point of not even happiness, but I would say at least start coming in a direction of happiness without forcing ourselves? Because some people say you should do this, but you know more knowledge. So can you tell more about this?
Yes. And this happens. This is life. We
Mm-hmm.
go through ups and downs. And I think the first thing is to be mindful, to
Mm-hmm.
really be mindful of, what you're going through and accept all your feelings. I think that's one of the myths of gratitude. I think that people expect to be happy all the time and that everything's going to be great. But if you're really happy all the time, there's something wrong. And if you're really sad all the time, there's something wrong. So there are ups and downs. But the way that gratitude works is that when we start practicing and when we start seeing the good, we change the pathways in our brain. Our brains, through neuroplasticity, we are able to create new neural pathways. So the stronger the neural pathway is, when we hit a bump in the road like you're talking about, we are more resilient. We are able to bounce back quicker than if we don't practice gratitude. An example for me, October of 2021, I lost my cousin and my uncle, who was like a father to me, to COVID within 3 days.
Wow.
I was devastated, and I really, really struggled, and I still kind of struggle with it today. It's still something that bothers me. I had to lose two close family members, and a few days was very hard and very difficult. But what I found within it was all of a sudden I started to think about, the month before, they passed away, I spent really quality time with my uncle. And, all the things we needed to say, we had said to each other. And I started seeing the good within it. Like, oh my gosh, like I remember this. And I talked to him about this. And we had some beautiful conversations and we spent some quality time together. We told each other we loved each other. I'd seen my cousin just, a couple weeks before. And so that's what gratitude does is when you practice it, when these tough times come, no, you're not gonna not feel the sadness. You need to feel the sadness and you need to grieve and you need to hold space for the gratitude and the grief. And that's what the gratitude does. It allows you to feel sad, but it also brings you back and lets you see the good. Wow, I'm grateful I had them in my life. What gifts they were. And so I think, to fool yourself. I mean, I know some people say fake it till you make it. And yeah, sometimes, that works for some people, I think, to, keep doing it. But I really think a sincere, grateful heart is much better, especially if we're expressing all that we feel, and even dealing with people and relationships. I think being able to say the difficult with love and with gratitude really makes a difference with how the way it comes across,
Mhm.
the way it's given. And so, I really think having that, the mindfulness, self compassion for yourself, to understand that you're suffering, that you're going through difficulty, and it's okay, that other people are going through this too, which is the work of Kristen Neff, and really having that self compassion for ourselves and being kind and loving and grateful to ourselves. And then from there, going forward. And if you're having a hard time, I think nature is one of the best things that we can do, to get out in nature and to really walk and to feel your feet hit the ground and really, look at a leaf or see the sun shining through the trees and to really notice and really pay attention, even taking pictures of it if you have a hard time, so that later on in the day you can look through it and go, oh, look at this, beautiful flower. Look at this sunset. Look at this sunrise. Oh my goodness. And bring that into your heart to try and savor that, to help you on the path back to gratitude. If it's, becoming, a problem where you're struggling with it. But I think those are ways. And I love the movie by Louis Schwartz, the Gratitude movie. That is
Mhm.
so beautiful. When you look at it, you see these beautiful faces smiling and so happy and just going through life and just appreciating one another and just looking into each other's eyes. And I think that's another thing that's important. Like if you're walking somewhere, like you're talking and seeing people, just saying hello, you could be making that person's day or they could be making your day. It's a simple thing and it means so much.
Yeah, I'm actually like you saying that if you don't know what is down here, then you probably do not know what is up. I mean, if you've never been unhappy, you probably did not understand and appreciate the condition of happiness. But it's the same like with pain. Like whenever my husband wakes up in the morning, oh, I have pain here. I said, it's appreciation of age. And I said, if you have pain, it means your body is alive and sends you a signal. So be
I
grateful.
love it.
There's a be grateful that you can feel pain, because if you stop feeling pain, sometimes it's our nervous system is not working properly. So I kind of like, you're right, So don't complain about some pain. Just like I'm not talking about serious pain, but sometimes, like, with age we have stiffness or pain or whatever, and the same probably with other feelings, and sometimes they say if you don't know what disease is, then you don't know how to be easy, like this is like without, like with easiness, right?
Right.
You don't know how to be healthy if you don't know what disease is, because you'll be looking for trouble when you don't have a trouble, but at the same time, if you had trouble, then you know what the trouble is. And
Exactly.
yeah, it's the same with our psychological condition. If we don't have this range of feelings, and I like to compare my life, even everything I feel, everything I'm going through, with some kind of page of with a lot of different colors, like rainbow colors. So today it's like probably red color more, tomorrow more green color. And I try to kind of say it's colorful book. Look, it's not black and white or white and black. Doesn't matter. It's just like a lot of colors. And some colors I like, some colors I don't like, but it's my life, it's my book, it's my pages. So, and it's my perception. So I tell everyone, do this, like start seeing something in different colors. It doesn't matter if you like this color or not, but just like, it's like rainbow. And people, oh, you're right. Like today day is like this, tomorrow day like that. And I appreciate that you said that it's normal that sometimes you fake, not like feel. But I think it's probably we need to fake, because I disagree with people. They say, "Oh no, no way, you shouldn't fake because it's like you fighting with yourself, you against yourself." I think we train our brain to positive respond, because knowing how the brain works, we program in our brain at least to stop complaining. We
Mm.
training to say something good, something positive to ourselves. And it's not a true fake that, like, make us sick or whatever. It's just like if we do it slowly and a little bit, not too much, not living in fantasy, but living in reality, but at the same time giving positive thoughts about outcome or future. And then we actually train our brain to react differently on situation, and then we start smiling, we start being happy, we start saying thank you, even if we said thank you before without add any meaning, just like,
Exactly.
yes. And I know you give a lot of advices to people regarding this, like gratitude, how to be happy and and feel gratitude. So maybe you have any kind of tips, like easy to follow, easy to use, because I know that it work like whenever you work with a person, it's like all individual. It's every person is unique, so you cannot do the same with everyone. But in general, if you have some tips that people can use in some specific condition, let's say when they're very unhappy or something happened, like dramatic happened. So we know it's kind of find meaningfulness and meaning in small little things. But at the same time, what else they can use before they probably go to the coach or or start kind of recovering and looking for other solution of the problem. So maybe we should take this little tips in our everybody's life.
Well, as a matter of fact, I think I have something I call tips.
Oh, you see, I'm
So,
reading your mind.
and I've been trying to come across a word that would give people an easy word to say, like tips. Okay, so you start the morning with a T. Thank you, thank
Uh-huh.
you. I'm alive, like you're saying. Huh? You're good. You're here. You're alive. Let's get this day going. The I, set the intention for the day. I'm going to look for some good things in life. What went well? I'm going to look for the gratitude. I'm going to look for all the good things in life. And then, the P for practice, setting up reminders so that, you go through the day, whether you have your phone ring or you have, some people will even wear like a band on their arm or they'll snap it like a rubber band to, as you're playing with it, you remind yourself to come back to the present moment. Look
Mm-hmm.
around. What do I have to be grateful for in this moment? And if you can't find anything, what about the breath you just took? What about your, this body, this incredible body that does so many things for you that, we don't even acknowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So just taking those moments and then, the S at night is savoring the day. I go through the day and I think about, okay, I woke up, I went here, I saw this person. Oh, you can look at your phone if you took some pictures. Look at this beautiful sunset. Look at this flower. Didn't even know what was in the middle of it. A picture of someone you love and care about, your animal, your dog, your cat. Just savoring that, taking it into your heart. And then when you go to sleep at night, that's another benefit of gratitude is that you are asleep so much better because your mind is on these good things, the savoring of the good. So can use tips.
Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful. And I was watching my little grandson when we were looking, like checking actually our spring flowers, the first one, and he bent himself to every flower and then, oh, hi, little cutie, how are you? Oh, look at you. And and I was following this. Oh my goodness, so much happiness and like gratitude. Hello, hi, thank you for blooming, thank you. And it was amazing to learn from a little kid how you should react to all this nature around you, everything that fascinating. Maybe for some people, there's nothing fascinating in crocuses, but for my grandchild, it was just like a new life. It's blooming. Wow, like and yes, it's a little tips we create ourselves. And I usually say, okay, so you start in the morning and your brain works actually on only on a specific waves, like your emotional and thoughts. It's specific waves. It's like radio program. Somebody likes classical music, somebody likes like folk music, doesn't matter. But what your brain is like, on what wave of your brain is working on right now, and a positive or negative. So you can look in the window and say, no, it's raining again, I'm unhappy, my life isn't happy. Or you choose another program and it says, it doesn't matter if it's raining, you know what, it's still day, I'm alive, wonderful, every day it's a new beginning, always new beginning, because something can happen. And I also add, I like sometimes when I start the morning, the day, I say, surprise me. Like I say,
Mm.
universe, surprise me. But in good way, I said, surprise me in a good way. Just surprise me. And I'm not sitting and waiting when the universe or God or whoever surprise me. I'm working, I'm doing something. And then if something clicks in my mind, like something good, very exciting. And I said, oh, thank you for the surprise. It was very nice. And this is how I learn also. I like to start with surprise. I want a surprise. Surprise is like fun, it's like positive emotion, good surprise. But even if something bad happened, then I'm not angry that there was no good surprise. I'm just like, okay, but I'm okay anyway, so how can I deal with this, let's say, negative situation? And unfortunately, and I probably you agree with me, we don't have any trainings, any classes at school on psychology, on behavior, on making relationship with people, not just people, but with universe, nature. We just like have math, geography, physics, grammar. I don't say that it's not like this is not necessary. No, it's some subjects are necessary, but life subject, like our psycho-emotional condition, how can we manage? We don't teach our children like to react like this, because we think they know how to react, it's like natural. With life, with growing, unfortunately they have more influence of negative influence of adult, than they forget about talking to flowers and to birds and to everyone, right? So this
That's
this
really that touches a nerve for me and my heart, because I was just recently at dinner with three school teachers. Two were high school and one was elementary. And they were talking about how, a lot of these children are not doing the work, and how they just move them forward and pass them. And, I brought up the same subject. I thought, we go through all of this to teach them algebra and geometry and social studies, but we never teach them, just like you're talking about, these social skills or life skills. How do you get along with people? How do
Mhm.
you help yourself when you're going through a bad day? How do you calm yourself down when you're anxious? I mean, we don't teach children this. We discipline them when they're acting out or doing things, but we don't take the time to really take this child in and really figure out what's going on. And I think there's just such a lack in that. And I know Goldie Hawn does a lot with her foundation on mindfulness in school. But
Mhm.
I did a project recently, and it's
Wow.
it's a little children's book, and I did it with I don't know if you've heard of, because you're not that far from me, St. Luke's Mission of Mercy in Buffalo. It's funded by just donations, and they have a homeschool there. And I've been going there and working with the kids on gratitude. And then COVID happened. We were working on this book because I really wanted the children to realize that by practicing gratitude, we can help ourselves and get through a lot of things. And we were talking about the negative bias and how I was asking them about did you ever have a bad test grade, and that's all you think about, even though so many other good things happen during the day. And they were raising their hands, and I was saying, we really have to remember the good. We have to really
Yeah.
look for that instead of just that, and realizing that these things happen. Permission to be human. You made some mistakes, and you'll correct it. You'll get better. That these things aren't the end of the world. And I think by structuring classrooms this way and having time, and that's what I'm hoping with my book, is that it's an alphabet book.
Mm-hmm.
And as you go through a letter, I was hoping for 26 days of the alphabet that they would sit with the children, and the children designed. They picked out things in nature for each letter, and they started to write about it. They were going to draw the pictures, but then that never happened. But we still want to raise money with the book for the school. I want those children to realize that they can make a difference, that they have the power to do that, and that gratitude is something that we practice that makes a difference. I want them to go out and start looking for a letter during the day and come back and discuss it and start to really notice what's happening around them and not lose that innocence that they have, that I think, like we're talking about, not that school is not good for them, but we're teaching them all these things, but we don't get them do we get them out in nature and say, oh, let's look at this. Do we see any
Mm-hmm.
frogs? What is this? Let's look around. What do we find with this letter today? And really get them to open their minds and their creativity and to see the goodness in the world. And so
Thank you. Thank you. It's a wonderful project, and I hope your message about bringing to children knowledge about life, not just life physiologically, but I mean psychologically also, how to make skills, how to make relationship, how to live and live happily ever after, like we usually say, right? But how to resist to negative events, to bullying, to abuse. Then it's very important to start to talk to children on positive psychology right from the beginning, and also learn from children because they have different mentality. And I know many famous psychologists, they learn a lot from children, including Dr. Seliman, right? He was
Mhm.
telling us. But even me, when I look at the flowers and birds, and I always remember this reaction of my grandchild, like son. And then I also, oh, hi, buddy, how are you? Like, I have robins here, I have a lot of other birds, I have flowers. So I start talking to them when I'm watering or I see them. And it's not like game in a childhood. I mean, I'm adult, but at the same time, I found it so nice and pure, and actually admit that I'm surrounded by other life. Like no animals and birds and insects, whatever, and flowers and plants. And I said, this is life, and I'm part of this, and this makes me even happier because it's amazing. So I think when we continue to keep alive in our children this interest to life, to nature, to surrounding, then we would have much better generation, more healthy, especially psychologically. And I'm glad that you bring this and that you're doing this book. Thank you very much. And I hope that people who hear us will support your project, and please support anyone who wants to support this project, like for kids. Please join us and contact Natalie, write her letter, or call her. Just don't be ignorant, just don't be silent, just do something to make life better, especially for future generations. And it's a wonderful conversation, and we have to it's coming to the end, we have to finish because the time is passing. Natalie, thank you very, very much for bringing all this words, ideas, and if you want to add something, you're welcome to add something to our like viewers and listeners. But I'm really, really grateful that we have this podcast today.
Oh, and I'm so thankful for you that you've invited so many of us in to share what we're doing so that we can learn and grow from each other and see all the beautiful things that are happening through positive psychology and gratitude and we're all just planting seeds and watching them grow. So, by coming on, we're planting the seeds and starting to water, and we hope that it grows into a better world for all of us, and especially for our children. And
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that we've got this time together, and I hope that we can get together in person.
Oh, we definitely will because really very close, and now the border is open, and we don't have any restriction about this tons of documents because of COVID. So definitely we'll see each other. It's not far, and before I have a lot of friends in Buffalo area. I'll have a lot of like people I like, so it's time for me to come and meet you. Thank you.
That'd be so wonderful. And the only other thing that I wanted to show you was this was my original journal, gratitude journal.
Mhm,
And I
mhm,
have a 30-day practice out free out on my website that you can sign up for. And it doesn't take a special journal. I started my journey with this by reading about a woman who wrote into the editorial column saying that she started practicing gratitude. It changed her life. She inspired me. I'm just hoping that I pass it on to others and inspire them on their journey and make it easier for others. And so she started with a little 3x5 note, a little notebook from the dollar store. So, we don't need it to be fancy. We don't need it to be anything at all. We just need to practice. Even if you find one thing a day you're grateful for, put it down out on, like I said, on my website. I've got some tips about that. 30 days is usually the start of a change in the brain. So if you start the practice, I have a practice sheet that you can just write on, just put it beside your
mhm,
bed,
mhm,
start the
mhm,
tips practice and, do that. I also just came out with a men's journal. I
mhm,
wrote a journal, black and white journal for men, because I felt, some of the men that I know, even in my life, that are just these incredible people and everyone loves them, but
mhm.
they struggle. They struggle with anxiety, they
Yeah, yeah.
struggle with sleeplessness. And this book was designed for them, but anybody could use it. But that was one of
Mhm,
the things that I'm really trying to reach a lot of different places. I also have out on my website, if you sign up, you can get 3 free postcards. I started this postcard campaign over COVID to try and help people connect to their loved ones, to really write a gratitude letter to someone in your life that you've maybe haven't thanked in a proper way. You really want to open your heart to it and write them a beautiful note about what they mean to you or what they've helped you
mhm.
with in your life, and sending it to someone. That's such a gift. And, we don't want to have any regrets in our lives. We want to make sure that we share those things.
Thank you, thank you. I actually forgot to mention about these diaries and notebooks you have on your website, because I remember I was looking through your website and I said, wow, it's a wonderful idea. So thank you for mentioning. And again, thank you for being with me for this couple minutes of your life. And we had a wonderful conversation. I hope everyone will support us. So please like the video, press like and subscribe to the video channel to see other podcasts. And I'm sure we meet with Natalie again and we will talk about some other things regarding happiness and gratitude. Right, Natalie?
Yes. Thank you so much, Olena. You have a beautiful day, and I hope you get surprised in big ways.
Thank you. Yes, actually, it's good surprise. One surprise is done. Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye. Take care, everybody, and be grateful.